What's up, marketers? Today's video is going to be a really fun one. It's going to be about my most controversial takes or my hot takes about media buying, D2C, and just pretty much our industry. There's going to be 10 in total, and I know a few are going to piss a lot of you off, and that I might even make some enemies. So let's go ahead and get this party started. So number one is that UGC is not a standalone creative strategy. And frankly, UGC is not going to save a failing business. Yes, UGC or user-generated content is super important to your overall creative strategy, and it's definitely something that I recommend most businesses testing into. But frankly, sometimes other things work better than UGC, and so you should definitely be testing into those things. I actually posted a tweet sometime earlier this week as I was looking through many of my bigger accounts, and I realized that it was actually images like this and this that were consistent top performers, as opposed to the sexy single UGC testimonial that we all know, love, and have frankly beaten to death. Ooh, the next one, number two, yikes. Dropshipping is dead. I think some people watching this are gonna be like, yeah, definitely, like dropshipping's over, it's had its moment. I know some of you watching my videos still do dropshipping, but like the heyday of making like a really quick, good buck from it is totally over. And frankly, even some of my friends who have had dropshipping businesses in the past are looking at making other forms of businesses just because, you know, supply chain BMS. Number three, even more controversial than dropshipping is dead, I also believe that media buying is kind of dead, at least media buying as we know it. And my perspective on this is that all media buyers now in 2022 also need to be creative strategists. I mentioned this recently in another video, but I actually know people that have really struggled with that. So from my perspective, you really have three choices as a media buyer in 2022 if you actually want to survive iOS 14 and continue having a job in the next few years, which is, you know, you have to be multi-platform at the very least. You know, that could mean also doing Google ads, and definitely in addition to just doing Facebook ads, doing Snapchat, TikTok, all those things. You gotta do it all if you just wanna push the buttons. But frankly, if you are going to continue having a job within the next years, I also really believe that you have to have another specialty. So something like CRO or landing page building, reporting or analytics, and then creative strategy, which is what I'm completely doubling down on for many reasons, but that's a whole other video. And number four, I think most brands, if they get on TikTok right now, are going to fail, especially if they treat it like Facebook. Now, I actually made a video all about the 5 things that you need to know about TikTok ads before you get on the platform. And that video is essentially gonna break down like why I have this theory and why I've seen so many brands looking at it as like a silver bullet, as the answer to iOS 14 and Facebook ads becoming a lot less reliable. And they're widely disappointed because it's a really different beast. And there are many things about the platform that you really need to have squared away before you start advertising there. Like, you need to have a creative content flywheel, essentially. You need to have consistent creative always flowing in, and not just any kind of creative, you need it to be TikTok specific creative. And you also have to have a first party attribution method like a Triple Whale or a Northbeam. So, and a lot of brands just aren't really ready to do either of those things, which is going to make TikTok a wildly disappointing platform for them. Number 5 is a quick fun one that I threw in, which is the engaged shoppers audience on Facebook ads is not a smart way to hack the algorithm. Sometimes I've even heard like other media buyers like say this kind of thing in like external meetings, and I'm like, that was never something that ever worked for me, and I just think it's like the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard. And I've had someone recently ask me about it, and I'm just like, no, stop, like, tired of it. Oh, and number 6 is a little bit more of a personal one, which is that I really do not ever want to start my own agency. And I sort of think that SMMA is pretty much just the new dropshipping. And I'm not about it. Like, there's many reasons why I will probably never start my own agency. But the reality is just like, I hate the BS of operations, and having a calendar that looks something like this is just truly my nightmare. Like, it's my dream to just like work on the content and create content And because of this channel and because of also my new job at Thesis/Barrington Media Group, I get to pretty much just do that all day, every day, and just think about creative strategies, which is awesome. But if I was to become an agency owner, it would just be so much more about operations, about hiring and firing, and about process. And frankly, like, none of those things interest me. Like, there's some like creative process stuff that I'm into and that I do a lot at Thesis/Barrington Media Group. But like, if I had to like sit and think about growing an agency and blah, 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 it's just like my hell, truly. I do not care and like don't ever want to like be in that line of business. I really just love making cool content and making creatives. So like, that's my spiel. Ooh, and number 7 is gonna be offensive to a lot of my business owners out there. So apologies in advance. Yeah, it's just that like most businesses are not that special. So I get a lot of questions around like, how do I advertise for a jewelry brand or for a dental business or whatever? And it's like, yeah, like in some cases I have worked for really specific businesses or niches, and other times I haven't, but like I still know that I could like sell the crap out of your product or services because I know the platforms and how to sell on these platforms really, really well. And if you watch my videos, then you do too. What I mean to say is that I find that a lot of brands or businesses, especially when they first start out, they get really concerned about, oh, like what works specifically in my niche. And like, yeah, it's like good to like check into it, I guess, but really it's about looking at what type of trends overall are working across different industries and the platform as a whole. And that's where you're gonna find more hits, I would say. I am very rarely, if ever, looking into like specific niche trends, except for things like fashion, which just really does tend to be just like really nice images or videos of the clothes without like, you know, the BS of like UGC and single testimonials in many cases. One of the other common questions I get on this channel is like, what is the best type of ad for a jewelry brand or something like that? And y'all, if I had those type of answers just like at my disposal, like, you know, we would not be here. You really do need to test it all in terms of creatives. And if you think that you're gonna get away with just testing one new creative per month on these platforms, then you're not prepared to be on the platform anymore. You really do need to test it all. There are no hacks. Oh, and number 8 is like, I just don't give a about the learning phase. I get so many questions about the learning phase, or so many of you guys are looking at my videos and you're commenting about, oh, like if you have a testing campaign and then you're taking that ad and then dripping it into the core campaign, like, well, how are you doing through the learning phase? And it's like, yeah, it goes back into learning. That is the lesser of two evils. Like, if I never wanted to tamper with the learning phase, then like we would not be growing businesses. Like, I feel like just people have this like really big unfounded fear about the learning phase. And like, yeah, it's important to not like shoot yourself in the foot so much by having 10 plus campaigns and a million ad sets everywhere. Like, you are really spreading the algorithm too thin there. But if you're following a really core setup, like I've shown you guys in my videos, and you're concentrating on creative testing, doing more creative testing and figuring out what works a lot more in your creatives, and sometimes throwing your campaigns into the learning phase is way better than not touching anything, not optimizing, out of fear of like going into the learning phase. Again, I just get this question so often about my campaign buildups, and it's like, yeah, you know what goes into the learning phase, and I don't give a fuck. Ooh, and number 9, I actually just said this phrase a little bit ago, so you are well prepped for it. But there truly are no more hacks in media buying. And frankly, you just have to be really good now to get success on the platform. Yes, I do think that there's still opportunities for small business owners to get on the platform, develop their own creative, and start finding new customers. However, the business owners that are really going to succeed and grow their brands are ones that really invest into knowing what's making their customer tick and developing creative that speaks to that. Media buying itself is truly a dying profession. I really do think that all media buyers now need to have a heavy hand in creative strategy and direction. And if not, then they need to be wildly capable at doing analytics and reporting or CRO and landing pages. You can't just be like a standalone button pusher anymore. From my perspective, sure, you might get away with it and like live at an agency for a while, but like if you really want to advance and like grow yourself, you're going to need adapt with these changing tides. And the last one, which I think is something that flows very nicely into there are no hacks, is there's also no absolutes. You know, the very few absolutes in media buying or Facebook ads that I believe in are things like have a consolidated account structure, always use conversion to purchase campaigns, and like that's kind of pretty much it. And as long as you're like creative testing and you're always learning, like I'll like pretty much sign off on that strategy all day, every day. Yeah, I mean, I do like several account audits every single week, some for thesis and BMG. And like sometimes I also take on extra work from people who watched this channel. Take a look at my website if you're interested in that. And the only time that I'm like, yo, your agency is screwing you over is if they have a million campaigns and they're doing this weird dumb funnel structure that's like engagement campaign to traffic campaign to conversion to ad, and it's just like, God no. But aside from that, you know, I see other people like using ABO or CBO in places where I normally wouldn't use ABO or CBO, and I don't really call them out on it. Or I see people using 1 day click or 7 day click or 7 day click, 1 day view, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have been my first choice, but if it's working, then like it's working. And I think like one of the things that has always been a really big problem in our agency is because a lot of it is super guarded and people don't want to tell their secrets. People kind of think that there's just like one way to do media buying or to run Facebook ads or TikTok ads. And the truth is there just really isn't. Even amongst like some of the top tier media buyers in the industry, and trust me, I've seen most of their accounts, it's, you know, like it differs a bit. And even when I see them, I'm like, yeah, you know, like I would potentially do this other thing, but I cannot guarantee that it would work better, because you really can't. You gotta do what the ad account likes. You gotta do what the brand or business, what's working best for them, and not rely so much on these like really feeble absolutes. Yeah, that's it. We made it through this one. Let me know in the comments below which one you don't agree with, or let me know which one you think I missed, or if you have any of your own controversial hot takes. I would also really love to hear that. And that is all. I will see you guys next week. This was a fun one. Later.